Yo, what is going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka the Clockmaster. Right now I'm going to be talking to you guys about the Mandalorian episode 1. So first off, guys, just want to apologize for my lack of uploads. I've been extremely busy last few days actually building some more cosplay stuff for Anime NYC this weekend. So a lot of stuff is delayed or behind or whatever like that, and I'm just trying to figure out this whole schedule thing. But for the Mandalorian, I didn't want to do a reaction video for it. I was going back and forth between doing a reaction video and just doing sort of like a review recap thing, because I just kind of wanted to enjoy Disney Plus and the whole experience, just sitting down in my living room, nice and cozy, the lights off, and I'm just watching a show that I like, just taking it all in. I didn't want to be behind the camera, in front of the camera, and all the the lights and all that to react to the episode. And I'm glad I didn't do that, because I got a really good experience from just watching the episode the way I did. So I'm gonna make a separate video on Disney Plus, just kind of going over through the whole website or the whole streaming platform, and give my little review on the streaming app itself and what I think about it and how day one went and everything. But this is not what this video is for. So one of the things that I really enjoyed about The Mandalorian was how they took their time to tell, they're taking their time to tell the story. Only the first 2 episodes are going to be released this week. So the first one came out last night, well, yesterday, and episode 2 is going to be released, I believe, on Friday. So by doing that, I feel it gives them more time to slowly tell us a story, gradually increase as time goes on, instead of trying to cram a bunch of information into one episode or into one movie. I feel like this approach is a lot better. So Jon Favreau created this story and wrote the script and all that for it. So I trust him as a writer. I trust him as a even though he's not directing this, as a producer. So I know he's gonna have his foot in this and his hands in this, and we're getting to see a nice different aspect, a different part of the Star Wars world. We got a little bit of this rogue type of bounty hunter vibe with Solo. We got it with Rogue One, a Star Wars story. So those films and stuff like this helps showcase that there's more than just the Skywalker story. There's more than just Luke, Darth Vader, Rey, and the Force and all that. There's more to this. The Star Wars world is huge. It's large. And there's so many books. A couple books that I have from different Star Wars books that my friend Dylan can actually tell you a lot more about the Star Wars universe. He has a little bit more knowledge than I do in that. But the world is so much huge. Sorry, incorrect English. The world is so much larger as than what we see in the movies. So that's what I liked about this. You're getting to see the whole bounty hunter thing. We're seeing how we still don't even know this guy's name. They probably released it at some point in articles or something like that, but I haven't came across it. But he's a Mandalorian. As we know, they're come from a long rich line of bounty hunters, and we're seeing how he's doing this stuff in the beginning. We get straight to the beginning of it, and a lot of people are comparing him to Boba Fett and all that stuff. And I believe Boba Fett was also a Mandalorian, from my knowledge. Like I said, I don't really know too much about certain details of Star Wars. I'm more of like the main Star Wars knowledge type of guy. I'm slowly learning other things, but yeah, like, I mean, we're seeing all this at the beginning, and then one of the things that stood out to me for this show so far is the score by one of my all-time favorite composers, Ludwig Göransson. So if you guys don't know Ludwig Göransson, he works with Childish Gambino. I think he produced like 2 of his albums. He worked on the Black Panther score. He did the whole thing for that. He worked on the Creed franchise. He worked on Venom. So he worked on a lot of really good properties. So from the time I knew that he was on this thing, I was like, okay, I'm very excited to see where this goes and how he handles this. And the score that he came up with just for this first episode was absolutely amazing. The main theme for The Mandalorian is something memorable. You can kind of hum it, you can kind of sing it in your head as you're listening. I've been listening to it last night. I re-listened to the entire score again this morning before I'm filming this review, just to kind of get a whole thing on it. And I was debating on if I should do a separate soundtrack or a score review, but I was like, you know what, no, I'm just gonna keep it all into one thing. But yeah, guys, the way how the music, you know, works with the show and the characters and certain scenes, it feels, it's like a breath of fresh air. It feels different. It doesn't have that classic Star Wars feel, and the way that he does this score makes it feel like a nice western, a space western movie, or maybe like a space, which is basically what it is, a space western bounty hunter movie, or any movie show. That's essentially what's going on here. So everything, just how it goes through, and it's gonna have some I should have said this in the beginning, but it's gonna have some slight spoilers, but it's a little slight spoiler here. So if you guys haven't seen the episode or you want to watch it, just kind of pay attention to what I say here. But my favorite scene in this entire episode so far was the robot scene where the bounty droid was just going around. The droid was just literally just turning around, just shooting people with blasters. And speaking of that too, production quality is it's amazing. It's like literally I'm watching a whole movie here, like movie quality episodes, and it's amazing to see how far like television and streaming and stuff has come. Like before, you couldn't even imagine having a live action TV show with this type of production quality. And of course, Disney has the budget to afford to do that, and they have the assets to do that in-house. So it's not necessarily difficult for them to do. But like, if you think about this, like 10 years ago, like you would not imagine them releasing episodes with a show that has movie quality. Netflix kind of started this whole thing. Netflix kind of paved the way for streaming and having movie quality, you know, episodes and shows and series, and Netflix, and then Hulu, and then Amazon Prime, and then now we got Disney Plus, and then we got HBO Max coming out, which I'm also looking forward to, and the AT&T service, and the NBC service, and CBS All Access. All those things, all these streaming platforms kind of made a segue from Netflix. So it's just amazing to see how like the world is shifting, and I'm kind of getting off track from the Mandalorian, but how the world is shifting and how we view entertainment. But anyway, back to the Mandalorian. So that whole droid scene was extremely entertaining, and I like seeing the different droids in Star Wars. That's one of my favorite things to look at, to see how they, you know, how different droids adapt to different situations and different environments. Like this time we have a bounty hunter droid. Other times you may have like a speeder droid, or maybe we might have a farm droid, or most droids can, you know, fly a ship most times. So there's just different droids for different situations. You even have droids that like wait tables. Like I just like seeing the different droids and how they interact with humans, and the camaraderie between this droid and the Mandalorian, I'm just gonna call it, and the Mandalorian, their dialogue was cool. And I know Pedro Pascal is underneath all that, so I'm wondering if we're ever going to see him take off that helmet. I know it's kind of like against their code to not take off their helmet, but I want to see they're actually going to have him take off his helmet, because we have to rely strictly on his body language for emotions, and also how they shoot certain things from the camera, how he tilts his head. We can't get to really see his visual expression of emotion from his eyes, or from how he makes his lips, or we just have to solely rely on his voice and his body language. So I think that's a unique form of acting, and also conveying a story, and also making sure that you can try to tell a story and pass on emotions without necessarily being showcasing your face, because you can rely on your face. You can, like, Joaquin Phoenix, for example, is really good at using his facial expressions to tell a story. He would use little to no dialogue, and he would just make a movement with his eye or his eyebrows, or the way how his pupils might dilate in the scene, or how his nose might flare up, or how his lips might perk, or something like that. That will tell you and give you an indication as to what's going on in that scene, and what's going on with that character, and what's going on in their mind. So I like seeing that his acting, because even throughout the episode where there were scenes, you can tell that the character was conflicted with a certain thing that someone would say, like based on how the camera zoomed in on his face and how he would twitch his head, or how his body would move. You can tell he's under stress, and it's weird that our minds and that our bodies can perceive these emotions without necessarily seeing his face. So I just think it's a really cool psychological thing with your brain, and how your brain receives this information, how we're able to understand this versus how they give us that information with little to nothing to work with. So I think that's just strictly amazing. That's what I saw when I look at those scenes. I kind of like to look in deeper in some of those aspects. So I thought that was pretty cool. But for all in all, story-wise, guys, I still have no idea what's really going on. We just basically see him going around hunting people and just trying to make his money and doing his thing. But there might be some bigger motive to this, which hopefully we get revealed later on in the story, where he might have some, you know, and we saw little bits and pieces of his past, like how we found out that, you know, they rescue a bunch of people in this guild or part of the tribe, and they kind of raised them up in this kind of Mandalorian culture. So I want us to dive more into that as we go on, so we can kind of see what's going on with that. But yeah, we got little bits and pieces of his flashback of how he was raised, what happened to his family. You can assume that, you know, everyone just kind of got ambushed by maybe the Empire. And that's another thing too. I was having a conversation with my boy Donnie, and we talked about this briefly last night, about when does this take place. So based on the dialogue in this whole thing, I assume that it was taking place, you know, post Empire, like after the Return of the Jedi, kind of like between that area. Some people, he was telling me that they said between episode 3 and 4, but I don't even really know where it's being taken place, but I can assume that it's taking place after Return of the Jedi, just based on how they were talking. Like, you know, the way how he looked at forgot the character's name, but the way how he looked at the guy who was giving him the jobs, like, there's Imperial credits, like, can't give me that. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? And how he just talked about how the Empire is no longer like running things around here anymore, and how they had the underground thing with the guys in the stormtrooper you know, outfits, and how they were kind of, you know, so just things like that. But anyway, guys, all in all, really enjoyed the first episode, like where the show is going, like where Disney Plus is right now. And I'll talk a little bit more about Disney Plus in my next video, where I kind of break down everything and my experience in day one. Most of you guys most likely had the same experience as me, but we're gonna go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little brief thoughts and overview of episode 1 or chapter 1 of The Mandalorian, which is now streaming on Disney Plus. So if you guys do not have Disney Plus, you guys can, if you're in the US, it's available for 7 days free. So you guys get a free trial. You do have to put your credit card in file, but get a free trial, check it out, see if you like it, and then you know, stick with it. And if you don't like it, then unsubscribe. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and sitting and listening to me ramble. I appreciate it. Subscribe if you're new. See you in the next one. Clockmaster out.